Hello and welcome to On the Corner, the official podcast, pitcherlist.com. I'm your host, Eric Samulski, joined for take two by Nick Pollack.
What is happening, Eric? I feel out of practice too. Okay. I had such an ambitious idea for October and November for myself. And no, I have not come through whatsoever when it comes to podcasts and articles on the site. I don't know how you feel.
You've got stuff going on, man. Yeah, I am currently covering 3 sports for us right now. It's tough. It's a lot, but I enjoy it. It's part of the grind. We're happy to do it. Nick and I took last week off, just, a lot of stuff going on in our lives. Hopefully you all listened to the live podcast from Arizona.
Yes.
First Pitch Arizona. Again, if you were unable to make it this year, there's tentative dates out there. I know they haven't announced them, but it's going to be early November again next year. It would be awesome to see people out there. It's a lot of fun. Just, being with everybody and hearing the great panels and discussions and presentations, but also just chopping it up and shooting the breeze and hanging out and all that kind of stuff.
It's the best. We found 24/7 batting cages.
We did.
I'm not even kidding. And also a pitching situation where you had to throw the ball at numbers on a screen.
Yeah,
which was really
and the
fun.
batting cage had slightly rubber balls. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but it's
okay. But we did hit 80. Eric and I did hit 80, guys. All right, we have
the 80 cages
somewhere. But no, I'm getting married in under 4 weeks at this point. So I thought that I would be able to manage everything and balance super easily. No. So I am behind, and I'm very sorry that I don't have my team breakdowns out yet in the Plus Pitch podcast. They will come out when they do, is what I'm going to say now. I'm not going to make any more promises, but they'll be out soon. And we finally got to this mock draft that we finished over a month ago.
I think it was about that, but it's okay. This is the right time to discuss it. And
yeah.
yes, I speak for everybody, because if they disagree with me, they're a terrible person. But take your time. Getting married is important. And so the content can take a back seat.
I appreciate that, Eric.
But yes, we are going to dive into Nick's mock draft team. We're going to talk a little bit about his picks, some strategy. It will inevitably coincide with some of our thoughts on players in the offseason and some offseason news, but we're going to be focused primarily on Nick's team. So in order to do that, I just wanted to ask you to begin with, what was your general philosophy going into the draft? It was a 12-team, one catcher league for all of you out there. So what were you just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, or did you have a clear plan at the start?
Okay, so obviously everyone knows that I'm going to wait as long as I can on pitching, especially the first mock draft that I do. I actually do some mocks where I take a starter early and see how it plays out. Mm-hmm. And what usually happens is I say, well, yeah, I got that really good pitcher, but then I could swap that with my 7th round pick, and I'd rather have the better hitter than the pitcher I would take in the 7th or 8th round instead. So I went hitting for the first 6 as normal. My draft spot was 6 because I wanted to be in the middle and get a good sense of the average play of the mock draft. I now hate it, Eric, because I feel like there are 5 definitive ones. Some might say yours is included, Ellie De La Cruz. I am somebody who, and maybe you can say Ronald Acuna Jr. if you want. I'm someone who devalues stolen bases a lot in 12-teamers. It's my mentality. It's always been that way of thinking that, all right, it's a one-wing league, and that is 20% of hitting categories, and they're less consistent week to week than your standard runs, RBI, home run, etc. So I generally don't lean in on that, especially if there's a good average guy, which I think is actually a bigger jump at times. Mm-hmm. So I went with Junior Caminero.
You do play a lot of head-to-head leagues. Is that head-to-head specific in a roto?
Yeah, 100%. Rotisserie, you can't get 1 point out of 12. Right. That is not a one, it's a completely different game in that way. I think that's the biggest difference between rotisserie and head-to-head. Is you can't punt, really. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. Yeah. You should be competitive in everything, essentially. And even getting, a decent stolen base guy you can actually get now and not hurt yourself, like Corbin Carroll or something like that, then can actually give you 3 points innately just by not being last. It can make you 4. I am the pitcher list guy. Okay. I'm not hitter list. I am not Scott Chu. So this is often one of the most stressful moments for me, Eric, because I don't have anything to go off of. I don't have somebody helping me that I can just read and say, hey, look, these are the
and
ones
gut feel
to consider. So what I did is I said, okay, I went through every position and just kind of mapped out quickly, like, which are the ones that really stink after the first or second round.
Sure.
And I said, well, if Jose Ramirez doesn't fall, the only one that's great is Junior Caminero, then it's really bad. And I was like, you know what? He's not going to come around to me in the second round. I think there are some good outfielders. Maybe Nick Kurtz. I don't know where everyone is yet on him. Will come around. There are good shortstops. There are good whatever. I'll be fine with whatever. Just I would like to have Junior Caminero now and be done with that. So that's why I did it. And yes, I know that it's going to be worse in the Trop. I know this. He's not going to hit 49 home runs again. However, all the indications that I'm seeing with Process Plus, his decision value, his power, etc., is like, yeah, this is a really good hitter. This is not like going to fall to a 240 average guy. This is going to be 270, maybe even higher, with over 30 home runs, maybe flirtation with 40 runs and RBI. Like, this is your 34 category guy at third, where the drop off I think is very significant. So that's why I went with Caminero. Could be very, very foolish.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for disappointing all of you, because I'm pretty sure this would be the min pick.
Maybe. Was this in your head? Was this like head-to-head specific, or would you have done this in a roto league as well?
I would not do in a roto because I wouldn't want to give up on
that important context. Though I should point out, Caminero, not a stolen base asset, stole 7 last year. There have been many seasons where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been talked about as like being pick 9, pick 10, pick like that in the back half of the first round, despite the fact that he doesn't steal a lot of bases. 4, 5. This past year, he got 6. And the idea was like, he's a good batting average asset with, 30 plus homer power. And I think third base is weaker than first base.
Oh, yeah.
If that was your argument for Vlad as a first round pick, it's the same argument for Caminero as a first round pick. I'm probably getting, maybe a slight batting average reduction, but I think you get more power out of Caminero. You're getting 5, 6, 7, 8 steals. It's kind of the same. And so, yeah, like, again, lineup context, but I think the logic behind those arguments isn't that much different.
I could have even gotten both. That would have been fun.
You could have.
And I even I got Speed in the second round.
As somebody who took Manny Machado in the third, I'm offended that you think there were no good third basemen.
I mean, he was clearly the third, but it was just...
Agreed.
I don't know.
You went from young upstart, and then you turned to the olds.
He's so safe.
You turned to the olds.
And I don't know if I like this, because...
So we should tell people...
I do wonder if shortstop is better than I thought.
Trey Turner was your second round pick.
Yeah.
What don't you
Trevor Story in the 11th is a great pick by Rick Graham.
Agreed.
And Perdomo in the 10th is also fantastic. Yeah, I mean, like Corey Seager going in the 5th and Bo Bichette in the 6th. And so I'm like, you know what? Maybe I didn't need to do this one. But Trey Turner is a batting average, runs, and stolen base guy in my view. And just he's so consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also a really good pairing with Caminero.
That's what I was going to say. I know you weren't drafting this specifically as like a roto approach, but if you went with somebody like Caminero early, going with somebody like Turner next, who stole 36 bases, makes a lot of sense. And like, yeah, the home run totals have dropped off since 2023, but if I have Caminero, I don't need him to hit 25, 30 homers, but I'm getting a ton of runs and I'm getting 30 plus steals and I'm getting a 290 or higher batting average at the top of a lineup that will probably again be one of the best ones in baseball in a good home park. I still think it makes tons of sense. I don't think we've seen like Turner hit that cliff or anything. So I think he's a totally fine second round pick.
Totally wish I took Ketel Marte, though. I thought he can go to the 3rd. I didn't want to overdraft Ketel Marte. And like, that's the worry of this right now. You don't really know where everything falls. And it's really bad at second base.
That's your only argument for taking Marte is it's really bad at second base. I think the Turner pick is fine. I get the value on Freddie Freeman in the third round. He is
Eric.
not the Freddie Freeman of old,
Well,
in the sense that I think, last 2 seasons, 147 games. I think you're probably closer to like 145 games of Freeman at 36 years old as the ceiling. We know we're not getting back to double-digit stolen bases. At least I don't believe we're getting back to double-digit stolen bases. And I think the 30 homer seasons are gone. So you're looking at a 25 homer guy in a good lineup who's no longer a double-digit stolen base guy. But again, he's going to hit 290, 300. And so there's still a lot of value there.
yeah, I don't know if I like it or not. It's honestly just tradition. I feel like I've taken Freddie Freeman in like every single one of these because my biggest fear is looking like an idiot and taking that guy away like 4 rounds too early. And it's like, I'm going to go with the steady, true Freddie Freeman, 3rd round. Everything's fine. But honestly, looking at it, Matt Olson, Vinny P in the next 2 rounds, there's even Bryce Harper in there. I would love to have Vinny P in the 5th round instead of this. I will mention, at least I think drafting Freeman, I also kept in mind that, he was dealing with his ankle stuff all year, and that's why he had fewer games this year. And I would think that he would be healthier for next season, which might make some sort of bump up from what we just saw, not just a normal decline of age. And you can't throw away the fact that it's still an average guy with amazing run and RBI production. So it's not like Freeman's going to hurt you in this spot. So like, whatever, I'll just take Freeman.
Potentially. Yeah, I get that. I'm less sold on your 4th round pick, and that's coming from me as a Red Sox fan.
Is that right?
It was Jarren Duran, who seemingly, and I guess it's because this is also not a league. This is not a 5 outfield league.
Sure.
Right? This is a 3 outfield league. So you don't need to start filling up your outfielders as much. You don't need as many outfielders, to fill a starting lineup. Duran regressed pretty much across the board last season, in some ways that are more concerning than others. And so I was surprised that you took him here in the, I guess it was the, kind of like actually right. You were right in the middle. You picked 6. So, coming back around just after the halfway mark in the 4th round.
Yep. I have a thing about drafting players who have really good lineup spots and are just consistently going to give you high counting stats. And I feel like that's what Duran is going to do. And that really drove it. Also, I said what I said before about like I devalue stolen bases a bit. I like to grab some that have an attachment to it early on that it's not really what the only value of them is, so that I can just completely ignore it later. Because what happens is you get the empty power bats, right? Who are able to give you RBI and home runs later on at the cost of everyone's trying to find those stolen base guys or try to find some average or something like that. And I just see this great counting stats from Duran. I probably would go Riley Green instead. Maybe, I don't know. I would have liked to have been in a position to get Matt Olson maybe instead. I'm still figuring it out with hitters. Jarren Duran, I didn't know who to pick, Eric.
Yep.
And I hated that. It's the
funny
middle of the 4th. I'm already like, oh no.
I may take your next pick straight up over Jarren Duran.
I might too.
And that's Jackson Merrill.
He's an amazing talent. And I'm like, he just had a stupid season. And wasn't he like a 2nd or 3rd rounder last year?
He was.
So great. Sign me up.
Yeah. The Duran concerns for me are threefold. One, he really struggled against velocity this year. I'd say that as somebody who watched the Red Sox often.
Yeah.
High fastballs were a bugaboo. And 2, when Roman Anthony was healthy, Duran moved out of the leadoff spot.
Oh no.
And so that would impact runs and things like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a leadoff spot.
However, the Red Sox were also banged up, so he was hitting in the middle of the lineup. He was hitting like
Sure.
third or fourth some games, so that's still not a bad spot in the lineup. The question is just like, if Roman Anthony is back and they're fully healthy, does he bump down to sixth? Because that changes things. And then I would be floored if he is a member of the Boston Red Sox in 2026.
Oh, really?
I do not see any way, shape, or form in which it happens.
So he's going to the Twins for Joe Ryan, I see.
I think that's part of the package.
Okay.
Though today I was talking with somebody online about like, could the Mets and Red Sox build a trade around like Senga and Jarren Duran? And that could be kind of interesting. But they have too many outfielders, especially considering they announced this offseason that Christian Campbell is just moving to outfield full time. So that's in addition to Rafaela, Roman Anthony, Wilyer Abreu. They don't have room. Duran is a cost-controlled veteran. And so I think he's the one they are most likely to move of that group. And so I see Duran going somewhere else. Is it to the Marlins as some sort of package for Edward Cabrera? Is it to the Twins for Joe Ryan? Is it, where, I don't know, wherever.
Just
hopefully it's
one
not
trade,
Pirates
please.
for Mitch Keller, but
Oh man. just make sure that Connolly Early is the number 5. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I want.
So those are my concerns. I would take Jackson Merrill over Duran. And I think that Merrill, I think he maybe wasn't going to be as good as he was in the second half 2 years ago, but I think there was some fluky injury stuff this year that impacted him.
Yeah, I mean that's really what that is there. I just it gets harder and harder to find a legitimate first round talent later on who's going to get regular playing time and be featured at least when they're healthy like this. So we can't quite say he's just injury prone after 1 year necessarily.
Right. Agreed.
And so I'm saying, I'll take that in the 5th round. And the 6th round is like, it's just tried and true. And I'll tell you who that is after this break.
Yeah, your 6th round pick was Brent Rooker. And we should note that where we are drafting on, it lists Brent Rooker as a DH, but in pretty much all formats, he will qualify as an outfielder.
Nice.
He played 28 games in the outfield.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So he will qualify as an outfielder, and that's something that even though we're going to talk about him as filling Nick's DH position, he is an outfielder, which is great for his fantasy value next season because part of the knock on him was the knock on Schwarber. It's the knock on,
Schwarber.
Alvarez, which is like their util only. And even though those guys put up massive offensive production, somebody like Rooker, who doesn't have the, hey, I'm going to hit 50 homers, I think he really dropped in drafts heading into this past season because nobody wanted to clog their util spot, and you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Rooker's just obvious power production, and I like that.
Another year in a minor league park.
And minor league park and all. It's just,
Also a great social media follow.
Yeah. Well, I just love Brent Rooker across the board. Easy peasy.
He's great.
Really, it's, again, especially in October when I am so out of the loop on hitters, just seeing someone I'm like, there's no way I'm dropping Brent Rooker this year.
Right.
Is really nice.
I'm going to combine your next 2 picks.
As we always do.
They are your first pitchers in the 7th and 8th round, and there's a lot of similarities in terms of their overall context. And that was Kyle Bradish in the 7th and Shane Bieber in the 8th. I believe you and I both have them ranked inside of our top 20s as of right now in the like 13, 14 to 20 range, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 15 to 20 for both of them.
Okay.
And it's, I remember making this pick and it was so funny to me that I was getting both of them. I have spoken at length about both pitchers, but to put it really succinctly, go watch Eric Samulski's presentation at First Pitch Arizona. And I really, that was a great one. How do you find a top 25 pitchers and really the qualities of those pitchers and how to identify who could be that for the year ahead? And long story short, I'm trying to find guys who are going to go 180 innings, who are known as workhorses on their teams, who are going to go every 5 days, and they're going, until 90 plus pitches, and you can go maybe even a little bit longer if you're doing great. who have strikeout ability and good command that we actually trust. And it's those two guys. It's really funny. A lot of people have been saying, oh no, they are coming off of injury. You're going to increase their workload by X amount. No. It's not how it works.
Right.
When guys have already pitched in the big leagues, done well, and come back from Tommy John, it actually is the greatest thing that you could ask for, is coming back from Tommy John in the middle of a season, because it's the perfect rehab. It is the perfect ease back in, which sets them up beautifully for the next season.
It's the Jacob deGrom. It's why you had deGrom ranked like 6th or 7th. Heading into this last
Reagan's, deGrom. I mean, we have Erie Perez coming in this year like that. Right. We see Robbie Ray. We've seen this many a time, and I love this. I have zero concern about like their workload for next year. I think it's way overblown. Mm-hmm. And you have the thing that I'm really am leaning in more on this year is quality volume as opposed to quality strikeouts or volume strikeouts, if that makes sense. Like, focus first on volume and hope for the strikeouts, as opposed to have the strikeouts and focus on the volume. Because a lot of times, if you are a strikeout guy and you don't have the volume, it means that you have to gain more efficiency. Mm-hmm. And that means that not only are you messing up by throwing too many pitches out of the zone, it likely means that you are throwing too many hittable pitches in the zone too. And you're not commanding internally. However, guys like Bradish and Bieber, they command the edges effectively. They get through games effectively. And I love those kinds of pitchers when they have strikeout ability and pitch for a winning team. So after all of the guys that we like are gone, I mean, I think I was going to take Joe Ryan instead, but Joe Ryan was gone at the beginning of the 7th.
Yeah.
Reagan's gone. Carlos Rodon's gone by you, and this is before we knew about the injury, guys.
Yes.
George Kirby, Max Fried, Hunter Green, Yamamoto, Sanchez, Sale, deGrom, etc. Bradish in the 7th is gorgeous. I mean, the ones that went next are like Glasnow and Imanaga and Webb and Michael King. And I'm like, oh, yes. And Bieber, then I take him. And Valdez. Erie Perez is the interesting one. Nick Pivetta, Blake Snell. No, I feel really good with these two. And I might even lean into a strikeout guy, which is why actually 10th round is
later on.
Strikeout guy.
Yeah, I guess I would say I'd rather have these guys as an SP2 if I'm in my ideal situation, but I'm totally fine with if I come out with both of them. I feel like I'm pretty set in terms of top end pitching, because I think that they'll both be really solid. And even if not one of them doesn't spike a true like top 10 season, I don't think you'll be getting poor production from either of them. I think you're getting, really solid borderline SP1 production throughout the season. So I'm happy with that. Team context for both of them is good. I liked your pick in the 9th round as well. I think that it doesn't jive with my general philosophy on drafting catchers in a one catcher league. Is I just wouldn't take somebody in the 9th round. I would rather wait until the very end. And at the very end of this draft, like, you had Salvador Perez going in the 19th, Yainer Alvarez in the 20th, Drake Baldwin in the 20th. So like, I'd rather have waited, but Ben Rice is going to have catcher eligibility next year. I think that he is a really solid catcher target.
He's just too good. He's too good of a hitter for me not to go in the 9th round. I'm sorry.
They need to stop yo-yoing him around.
He won't. I would be absolutely shocked if he's not just in the starting lineup every day next year, just because he's too good of a hitter.
I would agree, though they have said he's not going to catch.
Yeah, well, no, I think he's their first base plan right now.
So that's you hope that is where he winds up.
I would wind up there every day. Man, Ben Rice is way too good of a hitter. He absolutely just destroys all of our PLV metrics. And it to me, I just saw this in the 7th round, and I'm like, I'm seeing everybody else of these hitters going. And yes, it is really funny. We have this draft board set up as we to match the colors of our live draft assistant that we have. If you guys don't know about that, we have our own app for it. It's amazing. 2026 projections already inside of it. We're actually even putting out multiple updates this offseason, from design to even more features on it. So we're really, really thrilled about it. And I made it so that pitchers are blue, because pitcher list is blue. That is our main color. So of course we have to do that with our pitchers. And you see the sea of blue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable. You see 6 rounds and it's like 10 blue, whatever. And then all of a sudden everything is blue for about 8-10 rounds. And Ben Rice is just kind of chilling there in the middle, this little dot of brown. It's just okay. The next guy's coming up: Drew Rasmussen, Cam Schlittler, Chase Burns, right? Nolan McLean. You got that young cherry bomb, which to me, I find myself loving and hating at the same time. This is your typical cherry bomb of I can see scenarios where those don't work out, and I hate that. I'm not going to ever say that's going to happen. It's not the majority probability, right? But there is a world where like Chase Burns is not commanding effectively enough and needs something else, and he's getting hit like a Hunter Green season. We have Nolan McLean, his lefty, his weakness against left-handers gets exploited. He didn't get a ton of swing strikeouts on that sweeper last year. Cam Schlittler, well, he had his command and rhythm down the stretch, but if it looks like how it did in the first 5 starts or so, it's not as good, and he's more hittable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just said, you know what? All the ones that I really love are gone. Like if Nick Pivetta were around, if Yuri Perez was around, I would be going for them instead. Right. But Ben Rice was here. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah. I'm definitely showing my age because you talked about the blue in the middle, and in my head, I was just like, all day and all night, everything he sees is just blue.
Okay,
like,
Eiffel 65.
Inside and outside.
Oh, Eric, please stop. Make it stop, Eric. Please. Please, Eric.
But just so people know, it was kind of like round 7 through round 14, 15 that it was just like a lot of pitchers. And again, everybody who did this draft is associated with Pitcher List. And so I do think there's some philosophy overlap in terms of waiting on hitting, but I also think that's kind of how things have trended industry wide. And so
the confidence in hitters is very much dwindled past like the 6th round. I mean, I really do. Looking at the names of them, it's like, yeah, you wouldn't expect them to be picked higher.
Right. It's rough. And you dipped back into pitching. In 10 and 11. And you went with Dylan Cease in the 10th and Ryan Pepiot in the 11th. I know that we both believe that the move back to Tropicana is big for Pepiot. I believe we both have Pepiot inside of our top 30 as well. So getting him in the 11th is really good. Dylan Cease, we don't know where he's going to pitch, and we don't know what Dylan Cease will show up. In my presentation on top 25 starting pitchers, I noted that he had 8th percentile four-seam fastball command. And that's like his zone rate overall was what I looked at. But like, that's always the bugaboo with him. Like he's tried the cutter.
Barely tried the cutter.
Right. But
didn't do it long enough.
It out when I mentioned like, oh, maybe he'll sign with the Red Sox and learn a cutter. And you were like, no. Tried it. And it just isn't, it might not be for him. And so I do think we have to prepare for the possibility that there isn't a team out there that's going to quote unquote fix Dylan Cease. He's just going to be Dylan Cease, where there's going to be stretches of brilliance and stretches of frustration.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. With Dylan Cease, it's really simple, guys. Even year Dylan Cease is all you need in your life. Okay. No, he's a perfect situation. We can say it's this thing or it's that thing. And at the end of the day, we see pitchers fluctuate what they do every year. It's one of the most joyous parts of baseball for us, is dissecting those little changes, seeing how they're good or bad. And with Dylan Cease, it's not like he doesn't have the ability to be amazing. In fact, there are many aspects of what he did this past year that you just look at and go, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. That makes no sense. And it just didn't work. And that's dumb. And it is more believable to me that this was just weird and that there'll be some small thing he does differently and everything's fixed. Then he's just now a terrible ratio pitcher. It doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, I'm going to lean into Dylan Cease a decent amount. I just think he's too good. And maybe I'm being silly in putting myself in the path of risk where I don't necessarily need to. Mm-hmm. But as we mentioned, really with Bradish and Bieber, yes, they are volume guys, so they are going to be like flirting with 180 strikeouts anyway.
Yep.
the thing that you miss the most of not getting a top 10 starter is strikeouts. It is the easiest thing to fall down on in your leagues is total strikeouts. It is, as much as I like to say, like, oh, just wait, do all this. No, if you're in a head-to-head league and you're going against a guy with Crochet and Scooble and like they get 20 strikeouts between them in 2 starts and you need 4 or 3.5 to get there, like it really changes things. And you need to have something, you need to have a balance. So if you are going to go more ratio focused, yes, you do need to go after a heavy volume strikeout guy in some way. Cease felt like he fit the most with what I was doing.
Yeah, I like those picks. I think, your top 4 then of Bieber, Bradish, Cease, and Pepiot, it's one of the better top 4s, if not the best top 4. And just so people understand that's not drafting a pitcher until round 7. You just have to be okay. Nick drafted 1 hitter in rounds 7 through 12. So you just have to be okay saying
2 through 7 through 16.
Right. That's true. You drafted 2 hitters in rounds 7 through 16. So people just have to be confident enough in their first 5, 6 round picks.
Right.
To say, okay, I'm going to sprinkle a hitter, but I'm not really going to fill out my lineup until the very end. And we'll talk about some of the hitters that you did fill out the lineup with, because I think some of them were good hits. Also acknowledging in this league, there are fewer lineup spots to be filled.
Right, which is why it's more important to fill out hitters early on, in my view.
And you may not have in a 27 round draft, if you need 5 outfielders and whatever, you may not have taken so few hitters in those middle rounds.
Exactly.
But
it'd be more of a balance.
It works out.
Yeah.
You finally dipped into the relief pitching pool here in the 12th with free agent Devin Williams.
Yes.
Is that typical for you? Like you'll wait until this general area to get a reliever?
Yeah, generally. I mean, I was actually tempted in what round was it? In the 9th round. If there was actually maybe even the 8th round for Josh Hader. But then it was the injury thing that kind of had me like,
coming off an arm injury is tough.
And I will never draft Aroldis Chapman. And then Cade Smith was there. I was like, oh, maybe Cade Smith will fall because it's still kind of weird. And nope. I do really like actually taking a closer 7, 8, 9 because I think there is something to be said about having one that out of the draft and so you don't have to play with it. It's just like evaluating your time.
Yeah.
But here's what I did, guys. I cheated. And how did Nick cheat? Well, being the owner of Pitcher List, I can go and read drafts of any article that I want. And when I did this draft, Rick Graham's closers had not been published yet. So I went in and I looked at his list. And he had Devin Williams. Oh, he was up there. And I was like, all right, who are we going to go for? And I saw, oh, man, Devin Williams, it looks so good. I need to go for Cease. I need to go for Ryan Pepiot. And then he was still there in the 12th somehow. And that's why I was like, take Bubba Chandler, Eric. I was yelling at you to take Bubba Chandler just so I can get Devin Williams.
And I had already taken Johan Duran at that point. And you and I operate.
But you could do too.
You and I operate in the same where I'm like, I get one. And then I'll wait and fill it out a little bit.
And a friend of mine, Ben Dean, he said this to me, I want to say like 20 years ago when we were playing fantasy baseball. Maybe it was 15. When you don't know who to take in a draft a closer. Okay. And that is something I still live by. I think around the 12th round is usually that point where everything is like, well, there's this big glob of pitchers. I don't really need to go for this. I'm probably getting too many of them. There is no hitter that's really standing out. You take a closer.
And, it's hard to analyze Devin Williams too much. We don't know where he's going to pitch. Where he pitches will determine a lot of what we say about his value. He's going to close. The only asterisk I have is if he does go to like the Dodgers who are interested in him and have Tanner Scott. It's like, is he all of a sudden only closing against right-handed pockets instead of left-handed pockets and blah, blah, blah. But I am ready just in general, I will say, I am ready to say this year of Devin Williams, first year back from the back injury, battled injury also this year. Like I'm ready to say I'm more trusting the Devin Williams, healthy Devin Williams of years past as his true talent level than this.
Oh, yeah. No, get him out of New York.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear to some
guys
guys
need to get out of
like,
New York. Some guys need to.
yeah, no,
But you know,
it
he
is not
never
environment.
changed the Yankees and the facial hair rule, and we will thank him for that. Thank
Yeah,
you,
really, truly
Devin
thank
Williams, for your service.
Amazing.
You pivoted back to hitting
Yeah,
with Kyle Manzardo.
yeah.
Manzardo is the first baseman in Cleveland now. Ostensibly, that we don't know what they're going to do in the offseason, but we assume so. He had a really good second half of the season, sandwiched around more off-field issues. And we're not like, this has been public knowledge. So we're not like putting people's business on blast, but like, baseball players are human beings. Manzardo's mom needed very kind of like serious surgery in the off season, in the middle of the summer, coincided very directly with when he really started to struggle after like a really hot stretch in like May and June. And then he slumped and then he heated up again at the end. Just keep that in mind when you're looking at the overall season, is like, these are human beings. And when they're dealing with very strenuous personal dramas off the field, it obviously impacts their performance. I'm still bullish on Manzardo. I don't think he's like going to be a huge breakout star at first base, but I think he is a clear 20 plus homer first baseman on a solid team who's going to hit for a decent enough batting average. And in the 13th round, that has value.
I mean, it's great being a lefty hitter in progressive field.
Mm-hmm.
And Manzardo is a former like top of line prospect. He hits super well. I mean, PLB loves him. Again, what do you know? Surprise. Every single one of my hitters, I'm like, all right, let's go to Process Plus first. That's how. If you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. And normally I don't dip back in, but this is the point of like, all right, I have 3 open spots. I have 2 utility and a second baseman, and I generally understand that my last utility spot is the open door for anything. I'm just like, let's just take a chance in this guy. Oh my gosh, Soderstrom was good, or Kurtz was good. Great, sweet. You want to generally have that if you can,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to have one of them that's locked in, or like I feel really good about. And I could not tell you which one to choose among all the hitters at this point. So I did consider Royce Lewis, because Royce Lewis, I think Royce Lewis is an amazing hitter for many a time. And I settled on Manzardo just because I felt like he's going to be in the middle of the lineup. When he was with the Guardians, I believe he was like right behind Jose Ramirez a ton.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Against righties, yeah.
I'm like, okay, I think Manzardo, just stick him in the middle of that Cleveland lineup. He should get all this fun stuff where just all the fun counting stats and whatnot could be even better than what we saw. Yeah, that fits the bill. So I got him in the 13th. Easy.
I like it. Nick pivoted then to some injured starting pitchers, and we're gonna group them together and talk about his strategy there.
Oh, I got him. This was beautiful. This is beautiful. Pablo Lopez. Oh, come on down in the 14th round, the greatest pick of this draft. Oh my gosh.
You also cheated, but that's okay.
That's fine. I texted Pablo at the end of the year when we had the MRI. I was like, dude, my heart's saying like, what's going on? And he pretty much let me know that like they shut him down, but he wanted to keep going. And if it was like another week of the season, he might have pitched.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a case of, yeah, we don't really know. It's indefinite. I'm going to get shut down right now. No, he's fine. So like to me, I'm like, yeah, there's no way you're not just like showing up in spring training, having a normal off season, all that kind of stuff. And 14th round Pablo Lopez now.
And like we'll talk about the other two pitchers who you drafted who are injured, who are in very different recovery situations, but we'll talk about those two after this break. You had talked earlier in the Bradish and Bieber segment about it being very different when pitchers come back from injury in season. So I want to talk about your philosophy with these next two guys, even though they weren't picked back to back, because generally speaking, I think their seasons match up in certain ways. In the 16th round, you took Shane McClanahan. In the 19th round, you took Gerrit Cole.
Yes.
Neither one of them pitched in the big leagues this year. Cole, we know, had surgery before the season started. McClanahan had the nerve issue and then tried to come back and had some minor league outings, but was never quite able to get back. So what is your general philosophy on drafting pitchers who miss the entire year? And with these two guys, are you drafting them hoping you're getting back to like their previous ace upside, or was this just at this point in the draft, even if they're diminished versions of themselves, I'm happy to take a shot?
Yeah, I mean, Eric is the 16th round, and you look at the others taken here. Sure, Ryan Nelson, I might have considered. Noah Cameron might have considered. Those were picked right before me, and the next pitchers are Roki Sasaki, Peyton Tolley, Hurston Waldrep, Connolly Early, who actually I'm like, oh, okay. Nathan Eovaldi. Nathan Eovaldi is actually the one I was like, oh man, I should have just taken him instead. Kodai Senga, Zach Gallen, Mackenzie Gore, Zebby Matthews. Imai was taken. Tetsuya Imai. Oh, I should have taken that one.
Also, did you see his quote today, by the way?
No, what did he say?
He said that he would rather beat the Dodgers than join the Dodgers.
Yes!
And that
that's right! Oh my God. If you are a fan of any team that's on the Dodgers, you should so badly want that. That is the exact character of a player that I want to root for on my team.
And to be clear,
so awesome.
And it wasn't just, it was said in the context of not just like the Dodgers won World Series, but they were asking about Ohtani and Sasaki and Yamamoto. And he was just saying, I would rather go up against those guys and beat them because that would be the greatest achievement in my life rather than join them. And yes.
What's the point? You know, I think about this so constantly of like, yeah, I understand it's nice, it's luxurious to like join these super teams and stuff. Right. But when I think about my purpose in things, you know, I want to create the best legacy for myself.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be standing in a situation where you can't be questioning it, not just kind of like coasting. Like, where's the challenge?
I know it didn't work out for him so far. But that's why I always love Damian Lillard being like, I'm not joining a super team. Like, I'm going to stay in Portland. I'm going to, you know, then they got rid of him. But like, the idea is like, I'm going to try to win it here because like, I want to win it here. And so I respect that. And yeah, I mean, I think you and I have talked a lot about this during the season. And I think you and I both course corrected on these injured pitchers. So right now we're talking about Shane McClanahan in the 16th, Gerrit Cole in the 19th. The idea that like taking late gambles is one thing. I drafted Shane McClanahan in like the 5th and 6th round in some, actually it wasn't that early because he was my like SP3. So I drafted Shane McClanahan probably in like the 8th or 9th round in some drafts this year, thinking, hey, I'm drafting him as my SP3, but he could be my SP1. But I hadn't seen him throw yet. And so like, that's much riskier than drafting somebody as your SP5 or SP6 and thinking, I have a rock solid, stable core of my rotation, and now I can take these gambles.
Right. So here's the major thing, guys. I say this every single year. It's not a best ball league. And if there's something that I encourage as much as possible, it's to embrace the waiver wire. This is the best waiver wire we are ever going to see. Really, it's just the length of good pitching is insane. I'm even looking at the last round. We have Brandon Sproat and Casey Mize there and Clay Holmes. Like they're not really much different than what we expected last year. And they were constantly on teams throughout the season. Right. So, I mean, you'll see in my 20th and 21st round, I cannot believe that I got those guys at that spot. And I'm embracing that the names I listed before that we got to MI, none of those are like locks, let alone pitchers I believe will be the studs of the year. Like, I don't think that Noah Cameron's going to have the same year. He's going to be productive. Yeah, I think he's going to be good for your team. And Ryan Nelson, I think it's wish casting that he's going to have anything outside of the four-seamer. Connolly Early, he's actually one I would really target because if he is on the rotation out the gate for the Red Sox, then I think you have yourself a very legitimate Cameron-esque season, if not like a little bit more on the strikeout department. Kind of just surprise, hey, look, he's going 5-6 innings every time, winning ball club, etc. So why not take a chance on Shane McClanahan? It's my IL spot. Same with Gerrit Cole. And not only do I get to put my hand in those pots of wonder, I also get 2 more spots on my team. That's the thing I'm getting at is like, it's this and. So I would be able to now go after whatever's left on the waiver wire. I know I had a list before.
Right.
And I still have it now. So the guys that I would consider after, I mean, there are a lot of injury stashes. There's other ones if I wanted to, like Justin Steele and Corbin Burns and even Reynaldo Lopez. We'll see how he looks. But Giolito wasn't drafted. Cade Povich wasn't drafted. Zach Eflin wasn't drafted. You also have one of my favorite pickups this past year, Joey Wentz, which you're like, come on, Nick. That guy? Yeah, you mean the guy that increases extension by half a foot and then had an absolutely dominant dotted cutter and had really good command and then developed the changeup later on as a southpaw to make him possibly a swatch. And there's also, Shane Smith. And remember, swatch is southpaw with a tight changeup. Okay. So that's how I see this. Is not only I'm getting these potential productive starters, and no, I'm not really expecting them to be aces, especially not Gerrit Cole coming back. But
Right.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Agreed. I like it. Your second closer you took in the 15th round,
Jeff Hoffman.
Jeff Hoffman.
Cheated again. I read Rick Graham's article, and actually I disagree with his rank, but I understand it now. But at the time, he just went through every team. If you haven't read the closers article from Rick Graham yet, it's so good because he breaks down every single team's options. So you're not just getting the list of it. You're actually understanding who the handcuff is and what possible scenarios going on. And it's Jeff Hoffman as the closer for the Jays, who are, I don't know, did they just do really well this past year?
They did okay.
Could have done better, and they should have done better. But you understand, like Jeff Hoffman shouldn't have even been pitching against Miguel Rojas, in my view.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, he was so dead tired in that. Oh, he's a steady closer.
I mean, we should just note that this draft was done prior to the World Series being completed.
That is true, actually. Yeah, it was in the middle of the playoffs.
So we don't know if Jeff Hoffman would be drafted like this because he had some pretty dominant outings in there. I certainly wouldn't have drafted Andy Pages where I did if I knew that he was going to do what he did in the playoffs. You moved back to hitting in the 17th round.
You didn't have a second baseman, Eric.
You didn't have a second baseman. But I'm curious. You took Jorge Polanco. Only three other second basemen went in the draft after Jorge Polanco. Xavier Edwards, who's second base and shortstop eligible.
I'm good.
Bryson Stott and Marcus Semien. So nobody who's like, oh my God, how did you pass on that guy? But I'm curious why you landed on Jorge Polanco.
I just seemed like the safest one. He also, I think he's going this late because people don't believe he's going to repeat.
And he's a free agent.
So why not? Why not take the chance of like, hey, maybe something's real?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a better bet than the rebound of Marcus Semien or Bryson Stott outproducing that.
Great. Your final hitter of the draft was in the 18th round prior to the trade.
You
took Taylor Ward.
Is this better now?
So I wrote that up for us over at NBC Sports, and I think there are pluses and minuses. So it is a ballpark downgrade.
Yes.
As a right-handed power hitter, moving to
you don't know, Eric.
Oriole Park at Camden Yard, whatever.
You don't know, Eric. They could just change the fence once
again. Moving to Baltimore is a park downgrade, but he gets a lineup upgrade because he's going to be surrounded by a lot of other, major league quality hitters, guys who also could put together really strong seasons. A lot of them had down years, but that's much better lineup context. So I think you're also getting a park downgrade in terms of batting average as well. So it's not just power. So let's say you get a slightly lower batting average, fewer home runs. Maybe he comes in closer to like 25 homers. But I think you're still getting runs and RBI upside by hitting in the middle of that batting order. And so I think it kind of comes out in the wash, though my tiebreaker is always I'd rather have a hitter on a good team. Yeah. Because if they put together a strong stretch, the upside is much higher than you being a really good hitter on a team that will have Mike Trout as long as he's healthy and then will have nobody.
Well, right. This is something that I argue all the time. Mostly I've done it with Luis Robert Jr., but I think it happens a lot more than people realize. Team morale is so important. I mean, you're playing every single day as a hitter, and you need that internal motivation a lot. Even though they're professional ball players, it changes when you have that ultra focus and flow and everybody's excited around you and that momentum is behind you. You are going to perform better. And you throw Taylor Ward into a team that actually feels like they have proper playoff aspirations and not really like the team that doesn't know what's going on, a bit like the Angels are treated. Yeah, that could really improve things for Taylor Ward. And it would also explain a lot of like the hot and cold streaks, right, that we see from him.
It's a grind to show up at the park and do this every day. And so it makes sense that mental component is a part of it.
So you know what? I'll just go with Taylor Ward. I mean, I could have gone with, I saw Jacques get drafted. I'm like, oh, here's someone I'm going to circle. Cam Smith is a very interesting one too. Wilyer Abreu, Jason Dominguez. Also Colton Cowser. I don't know where he is. I'm sure there's a good reason. I don't know.
Yeah, he was not drafted here.
Yeah.
Batting average dipped this year. That may be part of it. Who knows? So yeah.
Okay. And then I had Gerrit Cole, and then we've got two fantastic picks.
Let's just round. I'm gonna just go to all four of these guys. Please. You can talk about them. You ended with 4 pitchers. You went 2 safe and then 2 upside is how I view it. Round 20 was Seth Lugo. Round 21, Merrill Kelly, who is a free agent. Round 22, Andrew Painter, who could most likely, maybe, possibly take Ranger Suarez's spot in the rotation. Remains to be seen. And then 23, Sawyer Gipson-Long, who you love, can't quit. But ended the year hurt, but could also be in the Tigers rotation, etc.
Yeah, speaking of ending the year hurt, I don't know if you realize this, Eric. How good do you think Seth Lugo was before the second half?
I think Seth Lugo was very good.
Yes.
I don't know exactly how good, but Seth Lugo was really good, and then he signed his contract extension.
Well, his back went out essentially. Yeah. And so 16 starts of 95 innings, 2.65 ERA, 109 WHIP is how he started the year, 22% K rate.
Yeah.
And as I was expressing before, something I'm really shifting philosophy-wise is the output is the same idea, right? Of like, I want to be chasing upside, right? But the input was always interpreted as, oh, that means I need to insert big strikeout guy.
Right.
But upside comes in 2 forms. It's the big strikeout number or it's the quality volume number.
Yeah.
And I have not in the past put enough focus on this could hit right in a way that we can believe in the volume ratio way.
That's a really good point. Is like a guy just getting back to being a solid, even if he's like a 3.3, 3.4 ERA guy, but he's going to pitch all year long on the Royals.
Or maybe someone who goes all year long, 184 innings, a 3.52 ERA and a 111 WHIP and a 22% K rate. Oh wait, that's Merrill Kelly.
Right.
And it's not like this is his first year doing this. He has not had a WHIP below or at 120 or lower since 2021. I mean, only 1 year above a 3.52 ERA in those times, right? And that was when he was hurt last year with the Diamondbacks. Now he did have a good defense for many of those years. And the Rangers, when he was traded, actually were a better defense than the Diamondbacks he was on previously this year. But he kind of is what he is, and it's a generally low hit rate, not too many walks, and sweet. I found wins in productive volume every week that I'm fine starting. Like that, I'm probably not going to drop Merrill Kelly, unless it's a really bad situation that he signs with. So to get this is a problem I've actually dealt with myself, and I realized, oh no, I need to change things. Is that I draft my teams in a way that I have too many question marks to start the year. I have too many. I feel like that guy holding all the lemons, like, oh, how am I going to hold all these lemons? Because I have like too many fun upside guys and maybe one of them works.
Right.
And instead just like, well, hold on, this guy's going opening weekend and he's going to go 6 innings and possibly get me a win.
I do think your belief, your strategy of end of draft guys who are going to pitch earlier makes a lot of sense.
Opening weekend, not like I'm trying as much as I can. I know it's wild. Don't draft SP5s.
Right.
Just don't do it, because there's even a chance that they don't pitch the first time through.
Yeah.
And then you're waiting 10 days to get validation on your draft pick. Now, of course, middle of May, who cares what happened that first week? Totally get it. But you as a manager, you are making some tough decisions.
Yeah, I
It is
totally
hard.
agree. I liked your Andrew Painter pick too,
I don't know.
given where you took him, I like it.
Yeah, I was pretty much just like, whatever, let's see.
Yeah, you took him in the second to last round. This is a guy who at one point was thought of as one of the top starting pitching prospects in baseball. He had Tommy John surgery, and this is also a good lesson of like people still drafted Andrew Painter thinking, "Oh, well, he'll just join the rotation like midway through, like after the All-Star break." And that's another, like, we need to shift the philosophy thing is like Andrew Painter is not Kyle Bradish. He's not Shane Bieber. He doesn't have an established major league track record. So when Kyle Bradish and Shane Bieber are ready, they're joining the rotation. There's just not another option. When Andrew Painter was healthy, he now has to then like reestablish himself as a prospect on a team that's trying to win a World Series. The Phillies were contending. So there was never a world where they were going to bring him up if he wasn't knocking the door down and looking absolutely phenomenal in AAA. And again, he was a young pitcher coming off Tommy John surgery. So there were inconsistencies and there were some bad starts. And so a lot of people were left holding the bag when he never pitched for the Phillies. And I think that you may see a lot of people, because we love the shiny new toy, you may see a lot of people say, well, maybe Andrew Painter isn't that good. Like, I'd rather draft like Jonah Tong over him or somebody like that, because like Tong had a really good season in the minors this year. And I'm just kind of thinking maybe Painter just gets back to being himself in 2026. And maybe there's a rotation spot for him. And a lot of people still view him as an ace. And even if he's not a real life ace, but he's a real life SP2 or 3, if you're taking a flyer on a guy like that at the end of a draft and he's got a rotation spot, I would rather bet on that post hype this late in the draft than chase, the guy who broke out and had a few really good, hoping that they put it together for a full year.
Or I could just have taken Reese Olson, which I would have liked to do.
Yeah, but you had your tiger for the end.
Well, I hadn't gotten Gipson-Long yet, but yeah, with Andrew Painter, I remember talking to James Anderson both last year and this year. And I remember last year I saw like 3 spring training or 3 AFL starts from Painter, and seeing what he was throwing in like wasn't impressive. And I gotta say, guys, I really, really respect James Anderson's, his eyes with it all, but just how he's so very, it's very well calculated, his takes, right? And he was at the time saying, well, okay, so Andrew Painter was more like a command one back in the day. That's kind of the thing. He was just really mowing some guys down in like, the high A and everything like that, or just early on really impressed guys. He was also really young. And so we just got to give it some time with that. That's kind of the idea of like, command comes back later. And I talked to him again at First Pitch Arizona. Like, all right, so tell me more about Andrew Painter. What did you see this year? And it's not as exciting as it was in the past. That's pretty much how I'll put it. Is it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion at the moment. And honestly, like the whole spring training stuff, it's like, yeah, he still needed to work. He just wasn't demanding it,
Yeah.
So sure, it very well could be that off season he's totally different, comes out in the spring is just the greatest thing ever. But I am not going to be doing this in all likelihood. And it's one of the picks. I'm like, I probably should have just done results, and I would have been really happy. There really aren't any super good ones left, to be fair.
I think he's like, given what you had done before,
yeah,
he's kind of your only question mark, because your other question marks but your other question marks are not talent, right? McClanahan and Cole are question marks because you don't know if they're going to be healthy. Lugo and Merrill Kelly are not question marks. You know what you're getting. It might not be like an ace, but you know what you're getting.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Your top 4 is rock solid. You and I agree with you because of the inside information you have, but you're probably going in to the season feeling pretty good about Pablo Lopez's health.
Yeah.
So that's 5 rock solid starters with very few questions, 2 former aces with health questions, 2 no question
beautiful
veterans
at my 6 and 7.
And so, like, yeah, why not Why not take your gamble on Andrew Painter?
It's really a spot that once spring training starts, then I would be like, oh, that guy's cool. Get rid of him. And then Sawyer Gipson-Long is 23, guys, to round this out, because I just can't quit a guy with 99th percentile extension and beautiful sink on his sinker and a flat attack angle on his four-seamer with a glorious changeup and a slider that we've seen do well. Like, I'm just like, all right, fine. And this was a lost season for many reasons, how they used them. They didn't give him this opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't think he will get the opportunity out of camp. I also just said I don't want to draft FSP5s. So, man, there will be a day when Sawyer Gipson-Long is given the pearl every 5 days regularly and allowed to go 90 pitches. Mm-hmm. And boy, do I want Sawyer Gipson-Long when that day comes. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So we've covered some of these questions, but just to wrap it up, your favorite pick of the draft for you is Pablo Lopez.
I gotta be Pablo Lopez. Let's go. 14th round.
Your least favorite pick, you had said earlier on that it was Dylan Cease. Do you agree still that it's Dylan Cease?
Andrew Painter, maybe. But no, honestly, there wasn't much else to do. Yeah, Dylan Cease, I'm just kind of, I don't want to draft such question marks, you know?
Yeah, I get that. What about overall you already talked about some of your favorite players left on the board, so we won't belabor the point, but I'll just reiterate that you said Justin Steele, Corbin Burns, Reynaldo Lopez, Zach Eflin, Lucas Giolito, Cade Povich, Joey Wentz, Shane Smith, all those guys.
Yeah.
How did you generally feel about your spot picking?
Well, I hate it because of the junior Caminero thing. I would go fifth. Fifth is, 1 through 5. I think that's really, really a big deal. You could make an argument that like the 10, 11, 12, because essentially you'll get Kurtz there. And I think Kurtz is dope. It makes me feel dope. But Judge, Ohtani, Soto, Witt Jr., Jose Ramirez are just so much better in my view. So I would like to be set up better like that, but whatever, it's fine.
Were there picks made by other people that you thought, man, that's a really great pick?
The Yamai one was really good. I saw that. I was like, oh man, that's the kind of chance I should be taking. No one came close. I was really nice, like going next to this guy who just took everyone I never would want to draft. His name was something like Sam Ermolski. Yeah. I don't know. No. Honestly, the Drew Rasmussen one in the 9th round is exactly the one I would have taken instead of Ben Rice. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, fine. Cadell Marte, really though. Nate Schwartz in the 3rd. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah. I really hate my pitching staff.
Well, you got Rodon, and then the injury happened. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
What are your general? You've talked about second base is bad, third base you think is a little weak. What were your general thoughts on the positions?
I can actually be more aggressive at outfield. Okay. I generally like to think that in a 3 outfielder league as opposed to a 5, that it's sometimes a fool's errand to go after them, because if you get 2 outfielders, then you just like, wait, I've closed myself off a lot. And in actuality, there's some massive production in outfield that I wouldn't be surprised if I found myself getting an outfield in the 1st or 2nd this year, more so than usual.
I like that idea. And then I will just say, we'll end with, because you talked about this draft slot, we'll end with one last question, which is like a lesson or a takeaway from the draft.
I would say the biggest one that I have here is, so the very, very end of the draft is still thinner than I wanted it to be when it comes to starters. It's really just amplifying the fact that like hitting is harder to find in the second half of this draft by far. Mm-hmm. Catchers is a big lesson. There are a ton. There are a ton of catchers. And I didn't really need to do the Ben Rice one, but Ben Rice in the 9th, he's going to go much higher. He's going to go higher than that, right? The other lesson is I felt lucky getting Bradish and Bieber in the 7th and 8th. Okay. In previous years, like for example, last year, it was Max Fried and Joe Ryan going later around here, like 5th through 7th. And that felt awesome. I felt I could get that every time. Even Pablo Lopez there, that kind of thing. And it's a little dicier because I don't want to have to lean on Erie Perez or Pavetta or Drew Rasmussen as like my SP1. I felt kind of lucky that those were the 2 available at that time. And I don't know if I'm actually going to be that lucky.
That's Nick Pollack talking about his mock draft. Still, even though the draft was a while ago, there's still some interesting nuggets in there. It's really interesting to see how things have changed even in a month. We got the whole offseason left to go. Nick and I are going to continue doing some podcasts throughout the offseason. Obviously, they may be a little bit less frequent than normal given the small things going on in Nick's life. But we will get on here. We'll continue to talk to you guys about it. And then I assume in the new year, things will get a little closer to our normal schedule.
Oh, yes. I am January, hit the ground running, coming back from the honeymoon and all of that. And just my focus is 100% pitcher list from January on. So get ready.
You're going to be newly married. Let's give it like maybe 90% pitcher list.
You understand. Well, both of us are going to have to get back. She's got to get back to work too.
Yeah. But no, we are excited to continue giving you fantasy baseball content in the off season. We were excited for Nick for all of his personal stuff in the off season as well. And so we'll check you out maybe next week. We'll see. In the coming weeks, we will. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you eat until you're stuffed and can't move off the couch. That's the best part of Thanksgiving. And enjoy time with families. Enjoy time with friends. Enjoy time, just quiet time by yourself, whatever you need. Enjoy it. I am Eric Samulski, the Pelican.
I'm Nick Pollack, the Lion.
And we'll see you later on this offseason.